Hi, I'm Mike Bagby with AppSavi. We are experts in cybersecurity, cloud, and IT custom solutions and vendor services such as Microsoft, Intuit, Autodesk, Adobe, and any other business critical application.
What we're trying to do is enhance the client experience, and we're trying to enhance the experience of the student and the faculty. And that means that we're optimizing your workflows, and part of your workflows is delivering your applications, delivering them in a way that's secure, delivering them in a way that's simple, and delivering in a way where you can much more easily manage your assets that you use to deliver the services that you need for your students and your faculty to succeed in what they're doing. The first thing you see here is a landing page for applications. These applications are all customizable. This is just a demo, but it will allow your students to be able to see the clouds that are relevant to them. So if we wanted to add a class and you need applications for that class, then we could categorize them. So we could say, as an example, we could create a category called Autodesk, which, if you're not familiar, is the company that owns AutoCAD, Revit, etc. And this is just another company that I'm sure you're going to end up considering along the way. Autodesk is very popular amongst things like marketing firms, architecture firms, construction firms, etc. If I named this one AutoCAD, then I basically would create, I'm just going to put abcapp.com, just as a placeholder. And then we would put an image to that. I'm not going to put an image to it right now. It's going to create a category for these applications. So once I submit that, then the category shows up here. Okay. So in these groups, okay, right here, this is where you would create a class in your learning management system, and you could assign groups to that. So anyone that signs up for the class can go here and be added to that group, but the snap of the finger. Then once you submit that, then the students that sign up for that class are going to see the apps relative to them. They're not going to see every business app. Like if I have Sage or QuickBooks for accounting, they're not going to show up for the student because the student doesn't need to see that. Okay. Now, some of these apps that you see here, these are SaaS-based apps. All of them really are SaaS-based because we're either virtualizing them on a server somewhere or we're launching them from where they're already virtualized. So PowerPoint, this is PowerPoint Online. It can be the actual app that's installed on a virtual server. And you can see it's already logged me in because we're doing single sign-on and authentication within the portal. So this is where the business or classroom in a box comes into play, because the first thing is, where's my apps? Now, the beautiful part about this is that, hey, the students can just click on it as we're populating this. You can also run these apps from the desktop. So it's not a all or nothing. It's a either or, okay? But the beautiful part about this is, quite frankly, you don't have to deliver laptops to the students with this. If they have a laptop that they want to use, there's no harm in letting them do it because we're separating this environment from their local environment, meaning cut and paste can be disabled, upload, download can be disabled, locking the screen can be done for testing. Whatever you need done pretty much can be done there, whether it's here or on their desktop. The point here is if they had their own device, all they'd have to do is go to this here, and what that student would see is something. Let me just give you a sneak peek at that. And see, they don't see all the settings over here, okay? They see their apps, and they can launch their apps from here, or they could go to their desktop, okay? And now I'm in Adobe Acrobat Reader right here, okay? So what we would do, you don't see it here, but we would connect them to whatever you want to connect them to, their Google Drive, their OneDrive, whatever you want, it'll be connected here. So their files, you're not going to get what we call data sprawl or application sprawl. because that's all easily managed from the cloud. So once they log in, they just go to their icons here and they click it. And that's the way they're not going to even know that they're going to the cloud. Just to recap, we place the apps here that we are creating the environment for on the back end. There's tons of flexibility with this. If you wanted to do it on premise, you could do it. I don't recommend it for a lot of reasons, but you could. This works for Chrome environments. Google environments. This works for AWS environments. It works for Azure environments, or a combination of both. Okay. So we could have infrastructure in Google, and then we could have the management of those in Azure, or it could be all in Google. Okay. So this means that you're bringing multiple clouds together so that you give end users the flexibility to choose what they like. If it's a Mac, nothing changes. The Macs, you're going to see these icons on their Mac desktop. So here, it also can integrate into the faculty or the student's calendar. Because it's connecting to our back end Azure AD, which could be, your Google G Suite management, it's pulling up the directory. So if I want to go, and talk to Mr. Pankey, I can send an email, or I can do a Teams chat right from here. And that can be to the cloud web version, or it could be to the desktop version. Then you have a knowledge base. You can create, add however you want, create the category, portal information as an example, or Adobe Photoshop 101, how to get started with my class. So what we do is we baseline before we do anything, meaning we want to know what we're getting into, just like you want to know what you're getting into, right? So what we determine from that is, okay, what is your applications that you're trying to run? And then we architect that solution to where it's going to meet the requirements that you have. One of the benefits of running from the cloud versus buying the servers or equipment, or even buying expensive devices like laptops. When you're looking at laptops, okay, to do things like AutoCAD or Photoshop or Adobe Premiere, and then you're going to end up doing like 3D rendering. Is everybody doing 3D rendering at the same time? No, right? So what that means is we're trying to determine how much GPU you actually need for the graphical interface card that is required by doing 3D rendering. So you end up buying an overkill of what you need by doing it on premise, or even buying a device that's $3,000, $4,000 that does what you need it to do. What you're able to do from the cloud, and when you architect it the way we're architecting it, is you can auto scale those requirements. We can scale that as the need arises without having to go redesign or re-architect. That's the problem. Like right now, if you go buy a laptop and it doesn't have that, well, good luck. You're not going to get it because that laptop wasn't designed for that. So you just got to go make a whole new purchase. But the power of the cloud allows you to have that flexibility to where you get what you need when you need it and don't have to purchase it. It goes away when you don't. That's a big advantage of the cloud that you don't get on a build it, do it yourself model. So now moving through this, the student, as I've shown, will get what they see. And then from a support perspective, this can all be customized, but this is just to show you some of the things that you can see in here, both from an administrator and a student perspective based on, access roles. But here you can see, okay, well, this is how many of this app I'm using. You can go down into that and see more information. You can see, okay, this is how many is using Exchange Online. So it's not only you're buying the licenses, but you're now starting to get analytics on their usage. And that's critical because you can actually pinpoint, well, why is Johnny suffering in math and he's doing really good in history? Well, from those analytics, you can start to see what resources Johnny's actually using to start to make those determinations so you can try to help Johnny out, right? From a reporting problem perspective, it's a very easy to use portal that allows, if somebody has a problem, like they can't access their files or data, we've streamlined that process. And if they need to open up a service request, this is all, again, customizable. It's not just for the services we're using. Like, let's say if you're a university or something and somebody needs to request a parking security card. Well, this is just an example of that. Or hey, you want to add a new user, you could do it. There's also a built-in learning management system. So if you wanted to use this, you could. So mastering Excel, mastering PowerPoint, you could put your whole curriculum in here if you wanted to, right? So collaboration, this is all, you can create it on the fly, security, Words, Teams, etc., AutoCAD 101. And from here, you can set different parameters down here, and then you can put your lesson plans in here. So this is just an added benefit to this, and then you put them in the correct groups. So if it's an AutoCAD group, that's where you put it. If it's a Photoshop group, that's where you would put it. And this is ties into your back end so that you're following the policies you set for the students. This is also quick starts. If you want to create quick starts for somebody, you can do that. So it's a whole learning management system. It also is looking at all the infrastructure that we are using to manage this environment. So it's looking at that. It's looking at the compliance of that, the services of that. So you as an administrator could see, well, my environment looks pretty good, right? Or it doesn't. And this goes to the usage to see who's using what and how much of it. So this helps you to plan for capacity. And it also helps you with your compliance, and also helps you with the adoption of the applications that people are using. Their data, their licensing count, it gives you all of that, and the users that are using it. And if they have 2FA, MFA or not. So you can make sure that you stay in compliance. It even has a voice component in this. And from security standpoint, this is where you can see, well, do we have any breaches this morning? Who is it from? Where is it from? Are there any email issues going on? What kind of email activity do we have? And logins. Is somebody trying to log in where they shouldn't? Do we have role-based access? This is all from an administrative standpoint. The student won't see this. And then you get into compliance, and now you can start to see your policies, your reporting, your assessments, and then your training, because there's different training you might want your students to take on first before their class, like a cybersecurity 101 thing, what to look out for. Making them cognizant of that is a good thing. And then alerts and jobs. And then finally, invoices. So you can pay your invoices here to us. You can see your quotes if there's additional, like let's say, hey, we've got another 50 students we want to add on, that you can all put in your order here and see the invoice and the quotes for that. And you'll have your own setup. So when you go in, you're going to be able to see what you want to see, right? So if we go here and I look from an administrator standpoint, you're going to see that right here.
From a student's perspective, this portal would essentially give your CTE students an opportunity to interact and deal with the learning environment, what they're going to face next, and on a collegiate level. So a lot of the online courses give you everything in a single pane of glass, all of your curriculum. You can modify that as Mike stated, and also they can track their progress and the scheduling. All that's just integrated into a single place, which makes sense, right? Because this is what they're going to see on the next level.
We really want to, yes, you want to teach them the skills of the class and the application, but as we know, life is changing for us all, right? And being able to prepare them for, just not a high IQ, but a high EQ, where they've got the ability to interact in a world that's changing quite rapidly.